8:31 in the morning in the Arabian Sea, the USS Abraham Lincoln's defensive systems detect a Khorramshahr-4 ballistic missile launching from deep inside Iranian territory. Not a cruise missile, not a drone. A ballistic missile, the kind that climbs to the edge of the atmosphere and comes straight back down at speeds that compress the entire intercept timeline to a fraction of what any other weapon allows. The Abraham Lincoln has defeated the Khorramshahr-4 before, 3 times. Each time the defensive systems ran the same engagement, built the same intercept geometry, and destroyed the weapon before it reached the hull. The crew knows this missile. They know its flight profile, its radar return, its descent angle. When the launch appears on the display at 8:31, the watch crew moves with the efficiency of people who have already beaten this exact threat and fully expect to beat it again. They are right that the missile is the same. They are wrong about everything else. The first interceptor launches at 8:32. It finds the Khorramshahr-4 at high altitude and detonates. The radar return from the missile disappears from the display. The watch crew sees the intercept. The automated system logs a kill. The engagement looks exactly like every previous Khorramshahr-4 engagement the Abraham Lincoln has won. What the radar return does not show is that this Khorramshahr-4 was modified. The warhead separates from the missile body in the final seconds of descent. The interceptor at altitude destroys the missile body what the radar was tracking, what the automated system logged as a kill. The warhead continues on its ballistic arc without the missile body, without a radar return, without any signal the ship's sensors can follow because the thing they were following is gone. The warhead reaches the Abraham Lincoln's flight deck at 8:37. It hits the forward edge of the deck at 14 degrees from horizontal, not straight down, which would have driven it deep into the ship's structure, but shallow enough to send it skipping across the deck surface and through the flight deck edge into the hangar bay below. 6 aircraft are parked in the forward positions, fueled for the morning's flight schedule. The warhead detonates inside the hangar bay at 8:37. An explosion inside an enclosed metal space does not behave like one in open air. The pressure reflects off the walls and amplifies and comes back in waves that travel through the ship's structural frames in every direction simultaneously. 4 aircraft are destroyed instantly. 2 more are thrown against the hangar walls and will never fly again. A fuel hose connected to one of the destroyed aircraft ruptures and ignites, and the hangar bay is on fire before any crew member has finished processing what just happened. The blast throws 31 crew members off their feet across 6 compartments. 11 are seriously injured. 4 are unconscious. The ship lists 2 degrees to port from the structural mass displacement in the forward hangar section. Every crew member on the ship feels the list in the same moment, a slow, impossible tilt of something that should not tilt. The aviation fuel storage tanks are 40 feet from the nearest fire front. They hold enough fuel to end the engagement permanently. 14 minutes. That is the damage control officer's estimate at 8:38. 14 minutes before the fire front reaches the nearest tank. 14 minutes became 13 before the estimate finished transmitting. The hangar bay carries a fixed deluge system suppression heads across the entire bay ceiling, connected to pressurized water supply pipes running through the ship's structural frames. When activated, it floods the entire bay simultaneously and suppresses even a fuel-fed fire within minutes. It is the right tool for this exact situation. Petty Officer 2nd Class. James Okafor is the most junior member of the hangar bay damage control team. He is also the only standing member. His team leader is unconscious from a head injury. His senior colleague has a broken arm. Both down in the first 11 seconds after the blast. He moves toward the activation panel at 8:38. The panel is at the forward bulkhead, 20 feet from the fire front. He reaches it at 8:40 and presses the switch. Nothing happens. The panel shows power. The system shows ready. The water does not flow. The blast buckled 3 structural frames in the forward hangar section, and the buckling closed the suppression pipe run feeding the forward deluge heads. The pipes are intact. The path through the buckled frames is not. The fixed suppression system that every damage control protocol says is the correct response to a hangar fire is non-functional. The fire is still moving. The fuel storage is still 40 feet away. 13 minutes became 11. At 8:39, 2 minutes after the warhead detonated, the Abraham Lincoln's radar detects 8 cruise missiles launching simultaneously from the Iranian coastline, flying at wave-top altitude toward the carrier. The carrier's defensive systems are fully operational. The warhead hit the hangar bay, not the weapons spaces, and the intercept engagement begins immediately. Both situations are now running simultaneously. 8 inbound missiles demanding the full attention of every tactical watch officer. A hangar fire advancing toward the fuel storage demanding every damage control resource. 1 crew, 2 catastrophes, neither one waiting for the other. The damage control officer requests manual hose teams from the secondary locker at 8:41. 4 minutes to reach the hangar bay access. 11 minutes before the fire reaches the fuel storage. 7 minutes of hose engagement time. 7 minutes is not enough. The fire front is 20 feet wide, fed by a ruptured fuel hose that is still flowing, because the shutoff valve for that hose is on the forward bulkhead 20 feet from the fire. Inaccessible since the fire spread past it at 8:39. A hose team engaging a 20-foot fire front from 40 feet away will not suppress it in 7 minutes. The physics do not allow it. The damage control officer transmits to the captain at 8:41. Hangar fire reaches fuel storage in 11 minutes. Suppression system non-functional. Hose teams insufficient from the aft access. One option remaining, someone reaches the fuel shutoff valve on the forward bulkhead and closes it manually. Closing the valve stops the fuel feed. Without the accelerant, the fire loses its advance, and the hose teams can suppress the remaining burning wreckage before it reaches the tanks. The forward bulkhead valve is 20 feet from the fire front. The access path requires moving through the fire's left flank, through zero visibility smoke at deck level, to a valve that places whoever closes it between the fire and the bulkhead with no safe exit. The damage control officer tells the captain there is no safe way to reach that valve with current resources. 11 minutes became 9. The cruise missile engagement is running above the hangar. Interceptors launching. 8 contacts on the tactical display. The priority that every drill has prepared every officer to treat as the priority. The fire is burning underneath it. Okafor has been at the aft hangar access since 8:40. Full protective gear. Listening to every transmission on the damage control circuit. Looking through the smoke at the forward section. He has been measuring something. The fire's left flank does not reach the port wall. There is a gap, not wide, not comfortable, but a gap between the fire's left edge and the port hangar wall. A space along the wall that might be wide enough for a person in full protective gear to move through. He has been measuring it with his eyes for 2 minutes because it is the only measurement available to him from his position at the aft access with zero visibility at deck level. He gets on the damage control circuit at 8:42. He tells the damage control officer he can see a gap along the port wall. He tells him the gap looks wide enough to move through with full gear. He tells him he thinks he can reach the valve. The damage control officer tells him the temperature in the forward section is above his suit's rated limit. He tells him to hold position and wait for the hose teams. 9 minutes became 8. Okafor does not hold position. He goes at 8:43. Not because he did not hear what the damage control officer told him, because he has been measuring the gap for 2 minutes and he believes it is there. And 8 minutes is not enough time for hose teams to suppress a 20-foot fire front fed by a flowing fuel hose, and he is the only person already at the access with full gear on, and the gap is either there or it isn't. And the only way to know is to move. He transmits one thing before he enters: his entry bearing, the valve position, the time he expects to reach it. He transmits it so that if he does not come back, someone knows where he went. Then he goes in. The port wall gap is there. Not wide, wide enough. The fire's left flank is generating heat measurable through the suit from 6 feet away, and the smoke at deck level is complete zero visibility. Navigation by memory of the hangar layout and one hand on the port wall at all times. The fire is 4 feet to his right at the closest point. He keeps moving. He reaches the forward bulkhead at 8:45. The valve is there. A manual shutoff wheel, painted red, at shoulder height. He closes his hands on it and turns. The wheel moves. Tested 2 weeks ago during routine maintenance. In perfect working condition. 6 rotations. The fuel flow at the ruptured hose above him is reducing. He can hear the change in the fire, the slight drop in the roar of a fuel-fed flame losing its accelerant. 8 rotations, 10, 12. The valve seats at 8:46. The fuel flow stops. The fire front begins losing intensity at the leading edge, gradually. The way a fire behaves when the thing making it worse stops making it worse. The advance has stopped. The hose teams arrive at 8:47. They begin suppression from the aft access against a fire front that is no longer advancing. First team contacts the fire at 8:48. Second team flanks through the port access. The fire front begins retreating at 8:49 under combined suppression against a front that has lost its accelerant feed. Okafor exits through the port access at 8:48. 5 minutes and 43 seconds inside the hangar. His protective gear shows heat damage on the right side. His right glove is partially melted at the palm from contact with the port wall at the point where the wall temperature exceeded the suit's rated limit. His hands are uninjured inside the glove. He reports to the damage control officer at 8:48. The valve is closed. The fuel feed is stopped. The damage control officer transmits the status to the captain. The captain receives it while the Combat Information Center is managing the 6th intercept in the cruise missile engagement. He acknowledges and does not interrupt the engagement. There is nothing to interrupt for. The damage control situation is resolved. The hangar fire is fully suppressed at 9:04, 27 minutes after the warhead detonated. The fuel storage tanks were never reached. The closest the fire front came to the nearest tank was 11 feet the position it had reached at 8:46 when the valve closed and the advance stopped. 11 feet. The 8 cruise missiles from the second Iranian launch are all intercepted between 8:40 and 8:51. Clean kills. The carrier never paused the missile engagement while the hangar burned. Both situations ran simultaneously for 14 minutes on the same ship with the same crew. The weapon systems remained operational throughout. Flight operations resume at 9:52 on the aft flight deck. 6 aircraft destroyed. 2 more beyond repair. 31 crew members treated. Forward hangar bay closed. 2-degree list corrected by 9:30. Ship fully operational. The launch platform that fired the modified Khorramshahr 4 is struck by precision weapons at 9:17, located from its radar emissions during the targeting sequence. The modified warhead separation mechanism, 6 months of Iranian engineering development, is in the Abraham Lincoln's Technical Intelligence Report by 10:30 and distributed to every defensive system in every carrier strike group by noon. Every fire control computer in the fleet now runs a secondary track specifically looking for separated warhead bodies continuing on ballistic arcs after the missile return disappears. Okafor writes his damage control log at 9:30, warhead detonation at 8:37, team leader down at 8:38, suppression system failure at 8:40, port wall gap assessed at 8:42, entry at 8:43. Valve reached at 8:45. Valve closed at 8:46. Exit at 8:48. Then one line his commanding officer kept in the final report. The gap was wide enough. I measured it for 2 minutes before I went in. I was not certain. I am certain now. Iran spent 6 months modifying a Khorramshahr 4 to defeat an intercept system that had beaten the unmodified version 3 consecutive times. They built the modification around one observation: the defensive system was treating the missile body and the warhead as a single target, which meant separating them at altitude would produce a clean intercept return while the warhead continued untracked. The modification worked. The warhead reached the flight deck. The intercept system logged a kill at 8:32, and the warhead hit the ship at 8:37. The hangar burned for 27 minutes. The fuel storage came within 11 feet of the fire front. It stopped there because one junior damage control technician measured a gap along a port wall for 2 minutes while being told to hold position and went through it anyway. 6 months of engineering. 11 feet, 8:46. The Abraham Lincoln is past the horizon, flying reduced operations from the aft deck. 31 crew members in treatment. 6 aircraft gone. And a technical report that will make the next warhead separation attempt the last one Iran ever attempts against an American carrier. The ship is moving. The flight deck is active. 11 feet was enough.